federal government has disclosed plans to set up cattle breeding centers in all geopolitical regions of the country. The Minister of State for Agriculture, Dr. Amuludun 99.1, made this known on the second day of a citizens' government engagement and midterm assessment of a Tinubu administration organized by the Sir Amuludun Foundation in Kaduna. The project would be in collaboration with the Ministries of Agriculture, Environment, Water Resources, Livestock Development, and the Blue Economy. The project, when completed, will boost the economy and the livelihood of the farmers. Similarly, the Ministry of State for Agriculture, Dr. Amuludun, says the Ministry of Agriculture and Food Security and the Ministry of Education is working to redesign the curriculum for young farmers. This initiative aims to equip the next generation with modern agricultural skills, technology-driven knowledge, and innovative farming practices to strengthen national food security. He noted that the leadership of the present administration was intentional about investing in Nigeria's livestock sector. The Oni of Ife, Oba Adeyemi Ogunwusi, has expressed support for the Special Seats Bill of the League of Women Voters in Nigeria. He stated this with a delegation led by the president of the League, Amina Ike, and the country representative of Young Women Nigeria, Beatrice Eyong, visited him in his palace in Ile-Ife, Osun State. Oba Ogunwusi said the bill, which aims at increasing women's representation in Nigeria's legislative bodies, would improve governance in the country when passed into law. The leader of the delegation, Amina Ike, had told the monarch that the special seats bill currently before the National Assembly was critical to correcting gender imbalance in political representation and ensuring that women's voices were not just heard but influential in shaping national policy.
Radio Nigeria, uplifting the people and uniting the nation.
The National Agency for the Great Green Wall invites you to a landmark celebration. It's the 10th anniversary and official flag-off of the 50 million £8 project. Date, Thursday, 31st July 2025. Time, 10 a.m. prompt. Venue, Banquet Hall, Government House, Dusit Jigawa State. Theme, sustaining the momentum 10 years of NAGGW's contributions to environmental sustainability. Sub-theme, planting hope, growing impact. Special guest of honor and chief host, Executive Governor of Jigawa State, Umar Mamadi, Chairman of the occasion, Honorable Minister of Environment, Alhaji Balaribe Abbas Lawa. Guest speaker, Professor Abdullah Umaru Tifama, Managing Director, University of Maiduguri Consultancy Services Limited. Host, Sali Abubakar, NFR, Director General and CEO, National Agency for the Great Green Wall. Join us as we celebrate a decade of impact, resilience and green transformation across the Sahel. Be part of history. Be part of the green legacy.
Healthcare in the last 2 years has improved impressively.
Upgrading primary healthcare centers across the nation from 8,809 centers to over 17,000 centers target by 2027 to recruiting thousands of health workers and establishment of new centers of excellence for cancer care.
With increase in the 2024 health budget, the first in 2 decades, training of over 60,000 health workers, recruitment of over 2,400 health workers, Nigeria's health workforce is being strengthened.
Introduction of new vaccines, malaria, HPV and Mpox vaccines with NHIA reform and new funding schemes, enrolling over 2 million Nigerians in 2024. The dream of President Tinubu for universal health coverage is being fulfilled.
A healthier nation, a brighter tomorrow. Thanks to Tinubu's vision for a health sector.
Radio Nigeria, uplifting the people and uniting the nation.
Livestock farmers have been urged to embrace the use of modern technology and launching to boost their businesses and ensure food security in the country. The Commissioner of Kwara State Ministry of Livestock Development, Mrs. Oloruntoyosi Thomas, met the call while speaking with Ms. Lauren Ali Rabiu has details.
The Commissioner, Kwara State Ministry of Livestock Development, Mrs. Oloruntoyosi Thomas, said the state government has put in place measures to ensure ranching to reduce farmers' herders clashes.
We've already started helping our farmers. There are a lot of changes. We're helping them at the abattoirs. We're beating
sanitation, and other logistics in line with international best practices to make life better for the pastoralists. The coordinator of Kwara State Livestock Productivity and Resilience Support Project, ELPRES, Mr. Olusoji Oyawoye, said that working hard to increase livestock productivity and commercialization in the state. He advised livestock farmers to adopt modern method of planting pastures to reduce traveling far distance in search of animal feed. The chairman, Miyata Allah Cattle Breeders Association of Nigeria, Kwara State Chapter, Malam Shehu Garba, commended the state government for its initiative aimed at boosting livestock production.
I want to fairly appreciate the federal government for creating this Ministry of Livestock. We know our people will benefit a lot if they can deal with our people directly.
Malam Garba, however, appealed to government at all levels to provide more grazing reserves, water, medication, and security for the livestock farmers to increase revenue and save the business from total collapse in Ilori, Ali, Rawi, Nigeria.
The Independent National Electoral Commission (INEC) says the online continuous voter registration will begin next month ahead of the off-cycle governorship election in Osun State. The Osun State Resident Electoral Commissioner, Mr. Moniya, made this known during an interactive session with Newsman Shobo. Dr. Abuke explains that physical registration would commence on 25th August across all 30 INEC local government offices and the area office in Modakeke daily. The Osun Rec cautioned that no INEC official was permitted to collect money from any registrant, advised the public to report any officer who requests money from them. The Independent Corrupt Practices and Other Related Offences Commission (ICPC) has inaugurated an Anti-Corruption and Transparency Unit (ACTU) at the Federal Ministry of Women Affairs as part of its ongoing efforts to institutionalize integrity, transparency, and accountability within the public service. At the ceremony, Dr. Moniya, Permanent Secretary of the Ministry, described the inauguration as a critical step in aligning with mentioned anti-corruption objectives. Dr. Kasisharu noted that the unit's establishment aligns with President Tinubu's renewed health agenda, emphasizing good governance and anti-corruption, and urged the committee to carry out their duties diligently in line with ICPC guidelines.
The inauguration of this committee is timely and aligns seamlessly with Mr. President's renewed growth agenda, which prioritizes good governance, service delivery, and zero tolerance for corruption. I therefore urge the members of this newly inaugurated committee to discharge their duties with utmost diligence and in full compliance with ICPC standing orders.
The representatives of the ICPC, Head of System Study and Review, Mr. Jude Okoli, said the unit has become a vital internal watchdog in MDEs to identify systemic weaknesses, assess corruption risk, promote fiscal transparency, and ensure ethical compliance. Chairman of the newly inaugurated ACTU Committee, Deputy Director Child Development, Mr. Musa Liu, pledged the team's commitment to complementing the ministry's management and ensuring compliance with ACTU regulations and responsibilities. The Nigerian Association of Women Journalists (NAWOJ), in collaboration with Norwegian journalists, has commenced a training in the states to promote gender equality, safety, and gender-sensitive reporting. The Gombe State Commissioner for Women Affairs, Asma Muhammad Iganis, at the training, commended working journalists across the state for their role in advancing gender-based initiatives that seek to address the challenges confronting women. Represented by the Acting Assistant Director of Women Affairs, Mrs. Yoda Obida, the Commissioner reaffirmed the Ministry's readiness to partner with NAWOJ in realizing gender equity and enhancing safety and sensitivity in media reportage. Addressing participants, the General Manager Radio Nigeria Joel FM Gumbi, Dr. Gabo Ubani, called on NAWOJ leadership to intensify efforts in championing gender equality and safety campaigns. As the global community marks the World Day Against Trafficking in Persons, the National Assembly has been urged to enact and strengthen existing laws to address the menace of human trafficking in Nigeria. At an awareness walk in Abuja, a non-governmental organization, Blue North Initiative, expressed concerns over reported cases of human trafficking in Nigeria, despite the efforts of the federal government in addressing the menace. The founder of Blue North Initiative, Callistus Ikenna, explains that lack of adequate cooperation and collaboration from the relevant stakeholders had hindered the fight against human trafficking ineffective. Hence, the need to mobilize for support, laws, programs and campaigns that fight against trafficking in Nigeria.
The latest strategy is the use of social media. So the traffickers do not need to be in your same location. They can be anywhere and continue to traffic wherever they want to traffic. So in that your social media account that you have in your bedroom, someone could be trafficked right from your bedroom.
The country director of the initiative, Burma West, who described human trafficking as modern-day slavery, said Japa syndrome has further exposed many Nigerians to menace in the name of searching for greener pastures.
We're having this Japa syndrome now where everybody believes that we can't make it here in Nigeria. That is why you see that human trafficking is thriving, because when they say there's job here and there's job there, people move, they pursue it because they want a better life, and that is how they are being deceived. We're not against traveling out, but let it be legal, because if you check this human trafficking thing, it's an illegal thing. These jobs are illegal. When you notice something is illegal, stay away from it.
The NGO reiterated its commitment in partnering with relevant actors within and outside the country to help address the disturbing issue of human trafficking in Nigeria.
Radio Nigeria, uplifting the people and uniting the nation. Are you dreaming of owning a home but think it's beyond your reach? Think again. Join us on Everyone Deserves a Home, powered by the Federal Mortgage Bank of Nigeria, every Friday at 7:30 p.m. That's right. Get ready to discover how you can become a proud home owner with expert advice, up-to-date reports on housing innovations, and answers to your questions on affordable housing. Tune in to Everyone Deserves a Home and find out how the Federal Mortgage Bank is making home ownership a reality for all. Don't miss it. Everyone Deserves a Home, every Friday at 7:30 p.m. on the network service of Radio Nigeria. Everyone deserves a home, and with the Federal Mortgage Bank, it's within reach.
The Nigeria Civil Aviation Authority, NCAA, presents a public enlightenment program, your partner in air travel. The program will focus on NCAA activities in the regulation of the country's aviation industry. It promises to be highly educative, informative, and entertaining for air passengers, airlines, ground handlers, stakeholders, staff, and the general public. So, tune in to FRCN Radio Link every Saturday 9 to 9:10 a.m. For inquiry and observations, please send your message to 0803-304-7420, 0803-323-4403, WhatsApp only, or email us at penguinmedia2025@gmail.com. NCAA program, your partner in air travel. Don't miss it.
Radio Nigeria, uplifting the people and uniting the nation.
Glad to know you're there on the news. All buildings above 2-story in Abia State are to undergo thorough integrity tests to reduce the increasing cases of building collapse in the state. The Commissioner for Information, Prince Uke Kanu, made this known while briefing journalists at the Government House, Moniya, on the outcome of this week's Executive Council meeting presided over by Governor Alex Oti. The Commissioner said the State Police Command has arrested the site engineer handling the uncompleted 3-story building that collapsed over the weekend in Moniya, and that he is currently assisting the police in their investigation. According to Prince Kanu, the collapsed uncompleted three-story building around the low-cost housing estate Moniya belonged to a notable politician, and warned that all buildings without proper structural integrity would face regulatory sanctions. The Nigerian Institute of Public Relations, NIPR, has expressed concern on the manners of Nigerians engaged in circulating fabricated content against the country, noting the reputation harm that such could cause to all tiers of government. The NIPR was reacting to a viral image falsely alleging the collapse of the newly inaugurated Bola Ahmed Tinubu flyover and the underpass exchange in Lafia, a situation we described as a deliberate act of disinformation powered by the mischievous deployment of artificial intelligence. At the on-site inspection of the infrastructure in Lafia, the Vice President of the NIPR, Professor Emmanuel Ndora, maintained that such fabricated stories could damage the image of Nigerian professionals in the civil engineering and construction industry, and that of the Nasarawa state government. Professor Ndora explained that the said video clip had earlier been circulated as a collapsed flyover located in Bihar, India, on July 19, 2025, confirming that the result of its forensic investigation shows that the image was 99% AI generated with no resemblance to the actual structure in Lafia. For a funeral service for a former chairman, Benue State Civil Service Commission, Mrs. Comfort Agogo, who died on the 6th of this month following a brief illness, will hold tomorrow, 31st July, at Ekwa Church 1, English Section, Makudi, by 11 a.m. Thereafter, the body will leave for her Makudi residence at New GRA for a brief stopover before departing to the family hilltop residence at Egan Ibila, New local government area, Benue State, for a week. A statement by the son, Dr. Emmanuel Agogo, on behalf of the family, says the final burial service will commence by 10 p.m. this Friday at the Hilltop Family Residence at Egaibila, Uju, local government area, Benue State, to be followed by interment. Age 71, late Mrs. Comfort Agogo is survived by children, grandchildren, and non-relations, among whom is the legal director, Joseph Saiwan Taka University, Makudi, Mrs. Mary Agogo Amara, Professor Nani Oniji Doki of the Benue State University, Makudi, and Joseph Agi of our News Directorate Headquarters. Next is Sports Update.
The prestigious 2025 Mina Annual Polo Tournament came to a thrilling conclusion last weekend, with defending champions El Amin and Profile dominating the field and sweeping all major titles, including the coveted IBB Cup. Reigning Georgian Cup champions El Amin and Profile live up to expectation, capturing the spotlight with a series of outstanding performances. In addition to reclaiming the IBB Cup, Mohammed Wambegida's El Amin also retained the prestigious General Abdulsalami Cup, capping an action-packed week that featured the inaugural Dawuli Baba Memorial Cup. Profile Group fielded three strong teams, justified their pre-tournament billing with a commanding display, clinching the Governor's Cup, the General Cup, and the highly sought-after Hassan Casino Cup, marking a remarkable clean sweep. Hailed by dignitaries, royalties, business elites, and polo enthusiasts alike as Niger State biggest sporting event, the tournament also witnessed Khalid Babangida leading Phoenix to their second consecutive victory in the Aisha Babangida Cup, showing noticeable growth and skill. In a remarkable debut, Mina SD stable, featuring players from Lagos and Kano, stormed to victory, claiming their first ever Emir of Mina Cup, further solidifying Mina's dominance. Governor Mohammed Umaru Babu, special guest of honor and president of the Mina Polo Club, praised the tournament's organizers. Nigeria have booked their place at the 2025 ITTF World Youth Championship in Romania after triumphing in the boys under-19 team event at the ongoing African Youth Championships. Competing at the Molado Okoya Thomas Hall, Tesla Balogun Stadium, the Nigerian team staged a remarkable comeback from love to deficits in the semi-final to edge Egypt 3-2 before overcoming Tunisia by the same margin in a thrilling final. Despite Tunisia's Wasim Essid defeating both Matthew Kuti and Abdul Basit Abdul Fattah, Nigeria sealed the title as Abdul Fattah produced a dominant 3-love win over Mohamed Kaloufi in the decisive match. And that's Sports Update. I am Ibrahim Abdullahi.
From sports, the commentary today is on Mokwa flood disaster and the need to sanitize the nation's water sector. It is written by Moniya of our editorial unit.
In May this year, the town of Mokwa in Niger State was struck by a catastrophic flood that claimed many lives, displaced thousands, and destroyed homes, farmlands, and critical infrastructure such as the bridge linking northern and southwestern Nigeria. The flood was triggered by torrential rains that submerged the entire community. Reports indicate over 3,000 people were displaced and more than 500 houses destroyed, along with critical infrastructure such as the Mokwa Bridge, which collapsed, disrupting trade and transportation between northern and southwestern Nigeria. The Mokwa flood should serve as a reminder of how climate change is affecting Nigeria's hydrological systems. Research on the Niger River Basin indicates that while rainfall has decreased since the 1970s, extreme weather events such as intense downpours have become more frequent, leading to sudden surges in river volume. In 2009, the Nigerian government dredged sections of the Niger River in an effort to reduce flooding. Instead, the 2010 floods were among the worst in history that destroyed homes and crops. Authorities have attributed the severity of the flooding to a combination of heavy rainfall and possible dam failures in the upstream. Experts have long warned that Nigeria's water management systems are not prepared for climate-induced extreme weather events. One of the challenges to effective water management in Nigeria is the centralized control of water resources under the federal government. The controversial National Water Resources Bill, which seeks to consolidate federal authority over waterways, was challenged by critics that it will marginalize states and local communities. The solution is not outright rejection of the bill, but its amendment to place water management on the concurrent legislative list. This will allow both the federal and state governments to collaborate in regulating the use of water, prevent flood, and encourage irrigation. At the moment, water resources are exclusively controlled by the federal government under the Water Resources Act of 2004, thereby creating bottlenecks in disaster response and infrastructure maintenance. Additionally, Nigeria must strengthen its disaster response mechanisms to mitigate future calamities. Democratizing the water sector will ensure that state governments are directly responsible for water management to reduce bureaucratic delays in emergency responses. It will also make local stakeholders, including farmers and pastoralists, to participate in water governance. The federal government should also invest in modern hydrological monitoring systems to predict flood risks and coordinate with state agencies to enforce building codes that will prevent construction on floodplains. Nigeria's disaster response mechanism is also inadequate. Despite early warnings by the Nigerian Meteorological Agency, NIMET, about impending heavy rainfall, no proactive measures are taken to evacuate vulnerable communities. In the Mokwa flood, the National Emergency Management Agency NEMA and state counterparts were forced into reactive mode in providing relief materials after the disaster had already struck. To prevent future tragedies, Nigeria must establish a national flood preparedness protocol, strengthen interagency collaboration from NEMA, state emergency agencies, and humanitarian organizations to work in unison with clear chains of command during disasters. The Mokwa flood is a tragic but preventable disaster. Nigeria must treat it as a wake-up call to reform its water sector, integrate climate adaptation into policy making, and decentralize water governance to empower states and local communities. If Nigeria continues to ignore these lessons, the next flood will bring even greater devastation. The time to act is now, before more lives are lost to preventable disasters. That commentary on Mokwa flood disaster and the need to sanitize the nation's water sector was written by Moniya and read by Mariam Okesonjo. And for the weather update, it is cloudy in some parts of the country with Abuja, Abeokuta, Lokoja, and Owerri having temperatures ranging from 23 to 29 degrees Celsius. Meanwhile, residents of Port Harcourt and Tuyu this afternoon experienced showers at highest temperatures of 26 degrees Celsius. To end the news, here is a recap of the major stories. The Central Bank of Nigeria says its decongestion and early exit policy implementation of the bank is not to target or destabilize Northerners working in the Apex Bank. The federal government has unveiled an initiative to attract young farmers. The Moniya of Ife, Oba Deyeye Enitan Ogunsi, has expressed support for the special seats bill of the League of Women Voters in Nigeria. We also told you the buildings above 2-story are to undergo integrity test in Abia State. That's the news edited by Brian Shaibu and the production team. I am Jehobi Ian. Thank you for listening. And do stay with us for our next program, Safety and Service Half Hour. Good evening.
Nigeria is filled with cultures so beautifully diverse.
People so creatively endowed,
So richly blessed.
but all these nothing in the face of God.
Let's live in peace so only peace can development happen.
The labor of our heroes past shall never be in vain.
Let us serve our fatherland with love, strength, and faith.
One people, one nation. Service half hour.
Amuludun FM 99.1 ní Moniya Ibadan ẹ máa gbádùn ẹ̀.
Àjùwọ̀n lọ kò ṣe sọ lọ́rọ̀ bẹ́ẹ̀ ni kò ṣe wí lọ́jọ́. Àjùwọ̀n lọ kò ṣe sọ lọ́rọ̀ bẹ́ẹ̀ ni kò ṣe wí lọ́jọ́. Ọ̀gá nìkan láwùjọ òkúta, ìyọ̀lọ̀gá láwùjọ yẹpẹ́. Àti táwọn yọ Amuludun FM 99.1 ọ̀gá la jẹ́. Gbọ́ orinlẹ̀ dáadáa. Ìròyìn àsìkò yìí ó ń gbọ́ orinlẹ̀ dáadáa. Polówó ọjà kájé bùgbàjẹ́. Gbọ́ orinlẹ̀ dáadáa. Ètò lóríṣiríṣi. Gbọ́ orinlẹ̀ dáadáa. Kórè dáná ọmọ ńlá sọ wípé adìyẹ funfun ṣálábà adìyẹ. Amuludun FM 99.1 gbogbo wọn ti gbà pọ̀gá la jẹ́.
lágbo fàájì lágbo fàájì lè tó pàtàkì tí ó mọ dé sí etí gbọ̀yìn níkànnì tó tàwọn yọ Amuludun FM 99.1 ní Moniya Ibadan ní gbogbo alẹ́ Friday ìbẹ̀rẹ̀ látago 8 àbọ̀ sí 9 alẹ́. Níbẹ̀ lẹ́yìn tó máa pàdé ọmọ yín ọ̀rẹ́ yín olólùfẹ́ yín Musa Alabi eléníyàn. Ó máa ní agbára jù. Ìpele mẹ́ta lè tó lágbo fàájì pín sí. Ìpele àkọ́kọ́ òun náà ní ìpele àlùjó níbi tẹ́ ti máa gbọ́ àwọn àlùjó tó fa kíkì, àwọn orin aládùn lọ́lọ́kun òjò kan. Ìpele ẹlẹ́ẹ̀kejì olóbó ṣe ń lọ lágbo fàájì. Ìpele ẹlẹ́ẹ̀kẹta ní ìpele àlejò wa níbi táwọn ti máa gba àwọn àlejò lọ́lọ́kun òjò kan. Ẹ wo ẹ bá jẹ́ ń sọ̀rọ̀ jù, ẹ jẹ́ àpàdé ọmọ yín ọ̀rẹ́ yín Musa Alabi tí ẹ mọ̀ sí eléníyàn lálẹ́ Friday ọ̀sẹ̀ yìí bẹ̀rẹ̀ láago 8 àbọ̀ sí 9 àṣálẹ́ lágbo fàájì. Ẹ wo ẹ má jẹ́ ń sọ̀rọ̀ jù, ẹ dúdalẹ̀ Friday ẹ máa gbádùn ẹ̀ yàtọ̀.
jẹ́ ìwọ mọ̀ dí tí ṣiṣẹ́ ò fi kúrò nínú ìṣẹ́ ìran kan fi ń ṣẹrú ìran kan tíran mẹ̀kúnnù ń fagbára ṣiṣẹ́ láì mórí bọ́ nínú ìṣẹ́ tíran bọ̀rọ̀ kìíní ń rọrọ̀ láì ṣiṣẹ́ agbára irú ìlànà òṣèlú wo là ń lò lórílẹ̀‐èdè tíran mẹ̀kúnnù fi dìde láì ṣe pé kò sí nǹkan tó lè gbé wọn dìde kí ló dé tó jẹ́ pé àwọn tí wọ́n yan mẹ̀kúnnù jẹ àtìlànà tí wọ́n fi yan mẹ̀kúnnù jẹ ni mẹ̀kúnnù ń gbé lárugẹ ẹni àìgbọ́n pa ló pọ̀ ẹni ọgbọ́n pa ò tó nǹkan wàyí o àsìkò ti tó fáwọn mẹ̀kúnnù láti gbé ọgbọ́n kalẹ̀ káwòye sí n tó ń ṣẹlẹ̀ nínú ìyànnànà amòye Bọ́lá Sídík lórí ètò ìlanilọ́yẹ̀ tá a pe àkọlé rẹ̀ ní àpérò mẹ̀kúnnù níbi tí ó ti máa pàdé amòye Bọ́lá Sídík àtàwọn mẹ̀kúnnù nílàákàyè tí wọ́n máa la àwọn mẹ̀kúnnù lọ́yẹ̀ nípa òṣèlú ìdàgbàsókè àtàròjinlẹ̀ tá a fi ń ṣèlú tìlú fi ń gún tìlú fi ń ga táwọn ìran mẹ̀kúnnù ó fi bọ́ nínú ìlànà ìṣèjọba ìmúnisìn àtàwọn olóṣèlú afẹ̀tànmúnisìn ẹ̀yin mẹ̀kúnnù ẹ̀tọ́ yín ogún ìpín yín kọ́kọ́rọ́ ọ̀nà àbáyọ yín máa gbafẹ́fẹ́ lórí ìkànnì Amúlùdùn rédíò Nàìjíríà 99.1 FM Ìbàdàn gbogbo ọjọ́rú Wednesday láàrin aago 9 sí 10 alẹ́ fún ẹ̀yin tẹ́ ẹ bá fẹ́ máa polówó ọjà àti ẹ̀yin tẹ́ ẹ bá fẹ́ ṣonígbọ̀wọ́ ètò ẹ pè sórí ẹ̀rọ ìbánisọ̀rọ̀ yìí 08085682103 àpérò mẹ̀kúnnù yìí ìpín mẹ̀kúnnù ní.
ẹni tó kọ́ ló mọ̀ kàbíra wa mẹ́kúnnù ìyá ń jẹ wá ní Nàìjíríà o alákàtà ìyá o.
The stage is set and the time is now. A new era of growth and opportunity has arrived. With the President Tinubu's vision and leadership, the Presidential Livestock Reforms Implementation Committee's drive and expertise, and the new Ministry of Livestock Development, the livestock sector is poised for a revolutionary turn. The value chain is calling, from beef production to dairy farming, pasture development, feed and fodder, cold rooms and more. It's a gold mine waiting to be explored. Foreign multinationals are already investing. So, now it's your turn. Nigerians, seize this moment. Embrace the opportunities and let's build a stronger, prosperous economy through livestock development.
This message is from the Presidential Livestock Reforms Implementation Committee.
ipò àgbàlá bá gbà tá a bá ń sọ̀rọ̀ nípa iṣẹ́ ìgbóhùnsáfẹ́fẹ́ tó yọrantí ilé-iṣẹ́ rédíò nàìjíríà lọ̀gá lọ́jọ́kọ́jọ́ láti wá lè tẹ́ àwọn aráàlú lọ́rùn síwájú sí i. ilé-iṣẹ́ rédíò nàìjíríà ẹkùn gúúsù ìwọ̀ oòrùn orílẹ̀-èdè nàìjíríà ti ṣàgbékalẹ̀ ẹ̀ka tuntun kan tá a pè ní ẹ̀ka eré ìdárayá àti ìgbóhùnsáfẹ́fẹ́ lóde. ó wá túmọ̀ sí pé eré ìdárayá ètò àti ayẹyẹ yòówù tẹ́ ẹ bá ń ṣe ibi yòówù tẹ́ ẹ bá ti ń ṣe a ṣetán láti gbé ilé-iṣẹ́ rédíò nàìjíríà wá bá yín níbẹ̀ ká sì bá yín gbé sáfẹ́fẹ́. àwọn eré ìdárayá bíi ìdíje onílẹ̀jìlẹ̀ nílé ìwé àtàwọn ìdíje eré ìdárayá míì lọ́lọ́kan òjọ̀kan àwọn ètò ìjọsìn ní ṣọ́ọ̀ṣì àtàwọn mọ́ṣáláṣí wa gbogbo ayẹyẹ ètò ìsìnkú ìwúyè ọjọ́ òbí àtàwọn ètò ìfilọ́lẹ̀ ní gbogbo ẹkùn gúúsù ìwọ̀ oòrùn ilẹ̀ nàìjíríà ni wọ́n sì ti gbọ́ yín kílẹ̀ wá ń dúró fún. ẹ máa bọ̀ kẹ́ wá bá wa dòwò pọ̀ pẹ̀lú owó tí kò gara. rédíò nàìjíríà ẹkùn gúúsù ìwọ̀ oòrùn ilẹ̀ nàìjíríà ipò kíní lẹṣin wa tó síwájú ó máa wà nígbà gbò.
The federal government of Nigeria warns vandals of national assets, electricity transmission towers, cables and other facilities to desist from this act of sabotage. Vandalism is a serious crime punishable under the law. Vandalizing electrical equipments will affect millions of Nigerians, including your loved ones. Remember that national assets belong to all of us, hence the need to protect them. Report all cases of suspicious movement around electrical facilities to security agencies. When you see something, say something. This message is from the Federal Ministry of Information and National Orientation in collaboration with the National Counter-Terrorism Center, NCTC, Office of the National Security Advisor.
The stage is set and the time is now. A new era of growth and opportunity has arrived. With the President Tinubu's vision and leadership, the Presidential Livestock Reforms Implementation Committee's drive and expertise, and the new Ministry of Livestock Development, the livestock sector is poised for a revolutionary turn. The value chain is calling, from beef production to dairy farming, pasture development, feed and fodder, cold rooms and more. It's a gold mine waiting to be explored. Foreign multinationals are already investing. So, now it's your turn. Nigerians, seize this moment.
embrace the opportunities and let's build a stronger, prosperous economy through livestock development.
This message is from the Presidential Livestock Reforms Implementation Committee.
Radio Nigeria, Amuludun FM. Radio Nigeria, Amuludun FM. 99.1 ní Moniya Ibadan láwa o. Radio Nigeria, Amuludun FM. Àgbẹ̀tà náà dànù tuntun lágbèdè òye. Radio Nigeria, Amuludun FM. Àwọn ètò alárinrin tó ń kọ́ni lọ́gbọ́n. Radio Nigeria, Amuludun FM. Àwọn ìròyìn àsìkò káàkiri àgbáyé. Radio Nigeria, Amuludun FM. Ìgbàgbé àṣà àti ìṣe wa lárugẹ o. Radio Nigeria, Amuludun FM. Iwájú lọ̀pá ẹ̀bìtì a máa rẹ́ sí òye. Radio Nigeria, Amuludun FM. Iwájú la ó máa lọ a ò ní rẹ̀yìn rárá. Radio Nigeria, Amuludun FM. Ẹ wá polówó ọjà kájé ó wọgbá. Radio Nigeria, Amuludun FM. Amuludun FM. Amuludun FM. Amuludun FM 99.1 ní Moniya Ibadan. Ẹ máa gbádùn ẹ̀.
ọmọ tó ní bàbá òun ò la tó ní màmá ò lówó tó wá ń bá bàbá jà tó ní bàbá ò ṣètò tó dẹ̀ tún bá màmá jà tó ní màmá ò ṣètò ó dìgbà tó bá dàgbà tó bá ń dá ṣẹ́ṣe wà rí bó ṣe rọrùn tó gbogbo ẹ̀ yóò tó ọ̀gẹ́ o. ó dìgbà tó bá dàgbà tó bá ń dá ṣẹ́ṣe wà rí bó ṣe rọrùn tó gbogbo ẹ̀ yóò tó ọ̀gẹ́. lọ́mú mi rántí ọjọ́ sí tí mo bèrè òkìkí ẹnìkan bá mú mi jáde ó bá ṣọṣẹ fún mi pé kí n mú fìwẹ̀ ó tún mú mi ní para kí fi ń fi para àpò kìkì máa dé. mo bá délé ara mi mo bá pè bàbá